Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Speak On It. I'm your boy, R.W. Coolins. First and foremost, giving honor to God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. How's everybody doing out there this morning? I'm back. Finally back. Had some technical difficulties we were working in and had some other things come up, but I appreciate everybody reaching out, asking, finding out, trying to find out what was going on. I had to work through, I'm not an IT guy. Let's just start there. I'm not an IT guy. But I had to work some things, find out where the distortion was coming from, find where the problems were coming from. Hopefully everything is good today. I can hear sounds good on my end. Anybody out there listening, chime in, let me know if you can hear and if everything is good to go. No call-in number today. Still working those kinks out, so we're going to get into the show. Man, lot going on. There's a whole lot going on, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But let's get these formalities. Let's go ahead and get this. Can I vote? www.nass.org. www.nass.org. Can I vote? Don't have the slides up today. Everybody's seen the slides. Go there. Go through the steps. Make sure you're able to vote in your location, in your home, in your state. Make sure all your information is correct. And then ensure that you do this before November. We've been talking about this on the show for a while now. Make sure you're eligible. Make sure you're ready. And you can get in there and do what you do. All right. Make sure you're good to go on the voting. It's an unscripted side of the y'all. Unscripted. We're going back to the basics of what I used to do. We're going to do unscripted today. And then we're going to go ahead and jump into this. So without further ado, let's go. In the news. Now, this week, we all seen the trial, the conviction, 34 counts, felony counts against former President Donald Trump. We've seen it in the news. We've seen the deliberations. If anybody's been watching the trial, watch. But I got something I want to bring up specific to this trial. But what we found out this week, amongst a jury of his peers, let's just go here. Amongst a jury of his peers, he was found guilty on 34 counts. And we've all heard the pundits out there. We've heard the people saying, oh, this is a sham. This is a scam. He shouldn't have been convicted. He shouldn't have been tried for this. He shouldn't have been this. He shouldn't have been that. All these things we've been hearing. But he was charged with falsifying business records in the first degree. That's what the 34 felony charges had to do with. He had 11 charges for invoices for illegal services, 11 charges for checks paid for legal services, and 12 ledger entries for legal expenses. Now, these were all, he was found guilty on all 34 counts. And you still have people saying he shouldn't have been charged. He should have never went to trial. It's a sham. It's a scam. This president, so on and so forth. But now this is a jury of his peers that found unanimously, they agreed that Trump falsified business records to conceal a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Now, that's the part that a lot of people want to concentrate on, is that he paid an adult porn star that he supposedly, allegedly had sex with, and he paid her to cover up this affair so his family wouldn't find out and so the voters wouldn't know exactly what type of person he is or portrays to be compared to who he truly is. Now, with that being said, and I'm trying to get into a flow, y'all. With that being said, it was also known that this $130,000 hush money payment was to interfere with the election. As I mentioned, he didn't want voters to know what he did. You know, the Access Hollywood tape came out, and that's when they started shuffling through, and they went to Carrie McDougal trying to hush her story, and then they went to Stormy Daniels trying to hush her story because they didn't want people to know that this man, who has been convicted of sexual assault by E. Jean Carroll, found guilty, had to pay a large sum of money, still going back and forth for disparaging words towards her. But this payment was to influence the 2016 election, which he won. And they're saying that, and they think that if this news had came out before the election like it should have, he probably wouldn't have became president, which is why it's called a hush money payment. But here's where I find it interesting when all these people, all the pundits, get out here and they try to say that this should never went to trial. He shouldn't have been convicted. The court system is two-tiered. You know, this is just election interference because he is the nominee for the Republican Party for this next election coming up, so on and so forth. You've heard it all. I don't want to repeat all of it. But here's the part that they're leaving out, and that's this. Michael Cohen was sentenced today to 3 years in prison for tax evasion, making false statements to a federally insured bank, and campaign finance violations. Michael Cohen pled guilty on August 21st, 2018 to an 8-count information before U.S. District Judge William H. Pauley III, who imposed today's sentence. In a separate prosecution brought by the special counsel's office, Cohen pled guilty on November 29th, 2018 to 1 count of making false statements to the U.S. Congress and was also sentenced on that case today, receiving a 2-month concurrent sentence. I'm not done yet. Between 2012 and 2016, Michael Cohen concealed more than $4 million in personal income from the Internal Revenue Service, avoiding more than $1.3 million in income tax. Cohen also made false statements to a federally insured financial institution to obtain a $500,000 home equity loan. We'll get back to that. Finally, in 2016, Cohen made or caused 2 separate payments to women, to ensure that they did not publicly disclose their alleged affairs with a presidential candidate in advance of the election. In one instance, Cohen caused American Media, AMI, which was identified in previous court files as Corporation One, to make a $150,000 payment to one woman. In the other, Cohen made a $130,000 payment to another woman through an LLC he incorporated for the purpose of making the payment. Cohen was reimbursed for the latter payment in monthly installments, disguised as payments for legal services performed pursuant to a retainer, when in fact no such retainer existed. Cohen made or caused both of these payments in order to influence the 2016 election and did so in coordination with one or more members of the campaign. Did so in coordination with one or more members of the campaign. Michael Cohen took a $500,000 home equity loan out to pay Stormy Daniels to cover the story for Donald Trump. And we heard in the court the recording that Michael Cohen recorded, which shows that Donald Trump was a part of this whole process the whole time, where he tried to say he wasn't. Michael Cohen did it on his own. Michael Cohen lied initially saying that he did it. Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. But when he got put under pressure to go to jail, he spilled the beans. He told on it, basically. So my question to those out there who's saying that this was a scam and this was a sham and it shouldn't have been brought to justice or it shouldn't have been brought to a court and all these different things. If Michael Cohen was found guilty of doing it, then why wasn't Donald Trump? Why shouldn't Donald Trump be held accountable just like Michael Cohen? Alan Weisselberg has been held to account and has served time for falsifying business records as the CFO or the COO, whatever he is, CFO of the Trump organization. So if all these people are being held accountable, why shouldn't he? Because everything that they were doing was for him. Also, they had announced, this was back in, like I said, this all came back out in that back in, was it 2021? well, 2018, AMI, who was trying to squash stories for Donald Trump, reached a non-prosecution agreement with the New York prosecuting attorneys in connection with their role in making the above described $150,000 payment before the 2016 presidential election. So they could have been David Pecker, who we seen on the stand. His company could have been held accountable or been put in jail. He could have been put in jail for the $150,000 that they gave up to keep a story and to squash a story about what this all centers around. So I'm going to ask again, why shouldn't Donald Trump be held accountable for the things that were done in this? Because it was done for him and it was done at his direction. And let me read what Michael Cohen was sentenced to. Michael Cohen, in addition to the sentence of imprisonment, he was to pay a fine of $50,000, to forfeit $500,000, to pay $1,393,000 in restitution to the IRS, and to pay a mandatory $800 special assessment. Separately, Cohen was ordered to pay a $50,000 fine and to pay a $100 special assessment in the case brought by the SCO. Cohen was also sentenced to concurrent 3-year terms of supervised release in both cases to follow his term of imprisonment. So Michael Cohen took the fall for what he did for Donald Trump, but nobody feels that Donald Trump should have to be held accountable for the things that were done for him, election interference, for him to become president of the United States. I'm trying to figure out where these people, where the mindset comes from, where the understanding that, well, he was a former president and this is all a scam and this is election interference, what they're doing by holding him accountable for what he did. But they don't want to talk about the election interference that helped him get into office when they kept these stories out. Now, mind you, I'm a true believer. If the stories that came out and he still was elected, then that just tells us what the people feel. But in this case, right now, he's been convicted of 34 felonies, and we still got people thinking that this man should be president of the United States. Russell Jenkins, good morning, my brother. It's like they're brainwashed. I'm not going to call them brainwashed. They're delusional. I'm going to call them delusional. I ain't going to call them brainwashed. I call them delusional. And I say delusional more than brainwashed because the delusions are that Donald Trump is this stand-up guy. He's going to fix all the wrongs that's going on in America with what's in America and abroad and the border and everything. He had 4 years to do it before he did nothing. All he did was grind the axe against any and everybody who didn't agree with anything he had to say. What do you think is going to happen in the next 4 years if he is reelected? If he is put back into office, what do you think the next 4 years are going to be? He has the Senate if he gets in. I mean, the House. He can have the Congress if these elections go the way. If he gets the House and the Congress, and he already has the Supreme Court, what do you think is going to happen in this country under Donald Trump? Because he has an axe to grind against anybody and everybody who has ever said anything bad about him. And he's going to do it at his discretion with the support of those people that are in those offices right now. You got judges hanging flags upside down during January 6th to show their support. A Supreme Court justice, mind you. A Supreme Court justice hanging a flag that the supporters for January 6th hung upside down. He blamed it on his wife. And he said he can't tell his wife what to do. And I'm going to paraphrase because I read this off somebody, I think it was James Battle had posted this. He said he can't tell his wife to take the flag down or what she shouldn't do with the flag, but he's voting to take the rights away from every woman in this United States of America as far as their body when it comes to abortion. Now you tell me what is really going on. What is really going on? Crime will prevail. It seems that way. Brian Hoodie, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you, my brother. OT, my brother, speak on. Appreciate you, bro. But this is where for me, and I sat back because, I've had some time. I've had some time. Sis, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you. I've had some time to sit back and look at these things. Russell Jenkins, because being found guilty on 30 federal counts and still becomes president, we are in trouble. We're in trouble already. We're in trouble already because they're allowed to put this narrative out there. They're allowed to put this narrative out there and nobody's pushing back on it. You watch these shows, you watch these different interviews with the Byron Donalds and the Tim Scotts, and I'm going to talk about the African-American black politicians off the top. We talk about these guys and you see them out here standing up for Donald Trump, who is a convicted felon at this time. Just hasn't been sentenced, but he's a convicted felon. Whether the charges, he's got a chance to appeal. He's got a chance to do it. Will he go to jail? There's 4 years for each charge. Will he go to jail? Not sure. However, he's a convicted felon. One thing somebody asked me yesterday. Marquise, good morning. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. OT, we're already in trouble. Yeah. But somebody asked me yesterday, when have you ever seen someone who is convicted at the time that the jury says guilty on all 34 counts be able to get up and walk out of the courtroom? Normally they're held in pre-sentencing confinement. Not in this case. And the thing is, they talk about all the logistics and everything. He's a criminal. He's a convicted felon. And not one. He has many that have been convicted, that have been supporters of him, been in his cabinet. And I'm going to read these. And y'all might get a little tired of me today with this, but I want y'all to understand that we have to look at the bigger picture of what's going on. The bigger picture of what's been going on with the people that he surrounded himself with, that have been convicted of crimes just as well as he has. And I'm going to start with this. We got Donald Trump was charged, convicted, and is awaiting sentence, 34 felony counts. Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. Ended up getting a pardon because Trump was president. Trump's former campaign vice chairman, Rick Gates, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. Also got a pardon. Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison and did the time because Trump didn't pardon him because he flipped on him. And also, when he was writing a book, they put him back in jail because they said he went against the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement. Trump's former advisor and former campaign aide, Roger Stone, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. Never served a day because he was pardoned. Trump's former advisor and former White House aide, Peter Navarro, was charged, convicted, and is currently in prison. And that's because he didn't answer to a subpoena to come in front of the Senate. Trump's former campaign advisor, George Papadopoulos, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. I don't think he served any time either. Trump's organization's former CFO, Alan Weisberg, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison, and is in prison now because when he went back to a trial, they got him for perjury. So he's serving time. The oldest person in Donald Trump's orbit that has been taking care of him as a CFO for all these years is the only person actually sitting in the jail cell right now, other than Peter Navarro. But he's not old yet. But you see where I'm going. Trump's former White House National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, was charged and convicted and in part. Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, was charged with wire fraud and money laundering. In addition to a conviction in a contempt case similar to Navarro, he's currently awaiting sentences. Though he was later acquitted at trial, Trump's former inaugural committee chair, Tom Barrack, was charged with illegal lobbying Trump on behalf of a foreign government. Now, I understand, and I know we're not supposed to put everybody in a barrel when we talk about guilty by association. But I'm going to say this because I've been on this earth about 58 years now. And we, as African-American black men, have been charged with being guilty by association throughout our lives. If somebody over here did it, they say we were a part of it. If you see five black guys standing somewhere, there's something that they're doing that's nefarious, is the mindset. But in these cases, you have people that are working and have worked for Donald Trump that have served time or been sentenced or convicted and nothing. Nobody wants to talk about the accountability. Nobody wants to talk about the guilty of association. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that these people were all found guilty in the court of law by a jury of their peers. Think about that. Brian Hoodie, y'all need to watch The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. That is the playbook for these people. That shows the ultimate outcome of where they want this country to be. Handmaid's Tale. Y'all go check that out on Hulu. I will when I get time here, Brian. And then you got two lawyers, I forgot, associated with Trump's post-defeat efforts, Kenneth Cheeseborough and Sidney Powell. Both pleaded guilty to election-related crimes, not only in Georgia, but in other locations where they were doing the fake electors. But we're supposed to sit back and ask ourselves, is this person who we want as president of the United States? I even got to ask the question of how can he still run when he's been convicted as a felon? And people say he should be able to because these are not felony charges. But in the court of law, that's what they were charged as. And I'll ask this question because you know me. I don't like to do comparison. I like to give you facts. We have people out here who are willing to elect a 34-count convicted felon and put him not only in the White House, but put him in charge of national defense, all the secrets, which we found out that he was keeping secrets in Mar-a-Lago, which that trial hasn't seen fruition yet. But we got people out here thinking we should put him in charge again because they said America was better at that time. And my question to them would be, and let me stop for a minute. I want to specifically talk to those who know somebody, because I know they ain't listening to me. So I'm going to say those who know somebody who is part of that Blacks for Trump organization, movement, whatever you want to call it, ignorance. And I want to ask you this. If you're part of the organization or you know somebody who's a part of that organization or whatever it is, Blacks for Trump, I want you to ask them this question. You feel so strongly to put a convicted felon back into the White House to oversee this country. And some of you have people in your family that are convicted felons that you won't go 100 yards close to. You got people in your family that may be a convicted felon that you don't even talk about or you don't even associate with because they're a convicted felon. You have people in your family, and I'm not just only talking to black people, I'm talking, this happens in the white community too, but I'm talking to black folks as a whole right now. Because we know people who got a Nuck, a Ray, a Little John, little pistol starter, whoever, that has been convicted of a felon, convicted of a crime or whatever, and people would not come within 50 feet of him because they don't want to be guilty by association. But then we got African-American black men and women out here supporting Donald Trump to become the president of the United States for the second time, and they want to overlook anything that he's done. What are we doing? What is the mentality? Because for me, I have to look at the bigger picture. I've been, and I ain't trying to put my business out, but I've been in the court system before, one time or two. Y'all stay with me. Don't judge. No judgment zone. But what I found out by being in that system is if you don't have the means, as far as financial means, the wherewithal, the understanding, or the people that are willing to fight for you tooth and nail, you're just another statistic in the system. As far as African-American men, let's just be honest. But if your melanin content is not as deep as mine, per se, and I'm kind of bright. First of all, you get the benefit of the doubt in spite of the fact of the crime that you committed. You get the benefit of the doubt in spite of the crime that you committed. The second part of that is financially, somebody will either back you or there'll be some finances to get you the best lawyer they can find rather than a court-appointed attorney to fight for you and whatever you're in court for. The third part of it is you're guilty as an African-American man before the trial even starts. And a lot of people will say, well, that ain't always true. Understand something. When we talk about the justice system and we hear these people out here talking about there's two tiers of justice, and you never hear them say this. You never hear them say this in the multitude and the many, many times that I've come on this show and I've talked about people being released from prison for a conviction that they did or a crime they didn't commit for 30 and 40 years. You never hear them talk about a two-tiered system at that time. They never talk about how we've had Black men, African-American men incarcerated for crimes they didn't even commit for many, many years, 30, 40, 50 years, and they finally get released. And you never hear anybody say, we need to do something about our justice system. It's two-tiered. The only time you hear about a two-tiered justice system coming out of people that don't look like me is when someone that looks like them is convicted for something they did and they just feel it's unfair. But let's go back and talk to all those people that were convicted for crimes they didn't commit, that they had nothing to do with, that they weren't even in the vicinity of, but they just needed to arrest somebody and their whole life was taken away from them. And then we got people, Black people, African-American people out here supporting this foolishness. When I see a senator, what is it, Byron Donalds, or congressman, whatever he is, I don't pay too much attention to him, or Tim Scott, sit on TV and spew falsehoods, knowing that they're lying, knowing that they already are aware of how the system is set up. And the only reason they can sit there and do that is because they're not part of the system, or they haven't been in the system to be convicted. They haven't been in front of a judge where the judge is looking straight through them because they don't matter. But we have many, many men that have gone into a court of law who had nothing to do with anything, and the book has been thrown at them. They put them behind a cell and threw away the key. And then we got this. That's why they never wanted any of these to go to trial, because the evidence is there. I don't know if a lot of you watched the trial or listened. They didn't have cameras in the courtroom, but each day I summarized, and I went to each channel, and I could see the difference in the mentalities of how it's being reported. When it was all said and done, when they gave the instructions to the jury, there's people out here thinking, not sure if they're going to get a conviction. Thinks it's going to be a hung jury. Because it had to be unanimous. But to my surprise, 34 counts of guilty by a jury of his peers. And I'm going to keep saying that. By a jury of his peers, because we always hear that. We always hear that when we're in front of a jury. Well, he was convicted. He was found guilty amongst a jury of his peers. But then when we are found not guilty by a jury of our peers, all hell breaks loose. OJ. Let's just talk about OJ. But when somebody like Donald Trump is found guilty by a jury of his peers, the system. Not one time did they say anything about the jurors per se. They said that the judge didn't give the jurors the right instructions. They said that the judge was tainted. They said all these different things about the judge and his daughter and all these different things. But they never talk about the fact that the defense, Donald Trump's defense lawyers, were also in the room when they selected the jurors. They okayed the jurors one by one, just like the prosecution did, just like a normal court case does. They agreed to the jurors that were going to sit on this trial. They agreed to the alternates that were going to sit on this trial. The judge didn't find him guilty. The jurors found him guilty with all the evidence that was produced. And here's the other part that they leave out. They don't want to talk about the fact that they had the opportunity to put people on the stand as defense witnesses, and they called one person. And the one person they should have called said he would testify. like he always does. But he knows, like I know, and like you know, if he sat up there in that box, he would be charged with perjury because we know he's going to lie. Call it what it is. Call it what it is. But it just bothers me to hear people sit back and come up with these astronomical lies about the jury pool was tainted. It shouldn't have been held in Manhattan. That's where the crimes were committed. They were committed in Manhattan. You get tried in Manhattan. If I get tried for something, I can't say, well, I'm out here in Las Vegas. I'm considered the city of Las Vegas. However, if I get arrested for something, I can't say, oh, move my trial to Clark County. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. No, bro. We gonna have this trial right here where you did the crime. Right here where you did the crime. And then there's questions about whether he'll be able to vote. Well, he's a resident of Florida now, not New York. So Ron DeSantis, since he's a resident there, can overturn, even though he's a felon, the fact that he can vote in Florida. But he wouldn't do it for all those people that had past records that they put out in a voting, and the people voted, let the felons vote. Let the people with convictions vote. And then they came back and said they can't vote unless they do this, 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 and this. That was a Ron DeSantis thing. But he's going to give Donald Trump the right to vote like that. But all those people in Florida that look like me who have been convicted, no. Even though the people voted to give them their voting rights back. This is where the system is two-tiered. Not what Donald Trump is trying to say. It's two-tiered when it benefits them. But when it doesn't, then it's two-tiered against them. I'll let y'all draw your own conclusion. I would never, like I tell y'all all the time, I would never tell you who to vote for. But you better pay attention. And you better know who you're voting for. Know who you're voting for and know what the potential is if you vote the wrong way. There's a lot of things that can happen if we vote the wrong way. Terrence Collins, good morning, my brother. Appreciate you. That's all I got on that, y'all. I can't go no more. I've heard enough. I'm sure y'all heard enough. We heard enough about these trials, and this. We got other trials that are on the docket that we may not see to come to fruition. We don't know. But at the same time, we need to be paying attention. And I seen somebody, I think it was John Chaney. Shout out John Chaney. Posted something where he said, everyone be on the lookout. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what's going on, because you got some people out here that are so upset about this ruling. We don't know what they may do. Look out for your family. Look out for your friends. Look out for your loved ones. Ensure that your safety is being taken care of. Let's go. This is a story that I wanted to talk about. It's been a little while, but I wanted to bring it up because it's something that it still doesn't sit well with my soul. And y'all know how I am about my soul. When my soul speaks, I got the answer. Let me just put it up here. Let's just put it up here. Racist artwork comparing LeBron James to monkey displayed in school gym prompts investigation. Now, I don't know if a lot of y'all heard about this or you maybe forgot about it or whatever. But this right here is a poster, a display done by a student at a school in New Hartford Central School District. I think that's in Connecticut. Officials with the New Hartford Central School District say they've identified the student artist behind the work, which compared the NBA star to a monkey. New York school officials are investigating a racist student-made poster that likened LeBron James to a monkey. You know, But let me just read this before I get into this. According to TMZ, the image was displayed in the school gymnasium Saturday during the annual New Hartford Festival of the Arts event. The piece was an advertisement for a fake cereal brand called Monkey Premium and featured James in his Los Angeles Lakers uniform while dunking on a bowl of cold cereal. And I don't know if y'all can see, but the cereal is shaped like little monkeys. And then it got bananas in there as well. And this is what it said. Eat monkeys, jump like monkeys, the campaign reads. These delicious monkey and banana-shaped grams are tasted like both chocolate and banana. This cereal makes you jump 2 to 5 inches higher for about 2 hours after eating. It is a great pre-game meal and is also great for kids. It is fun and the most delicious cereal you will ever eat. Jump like LeBron James. Days after the art show, officials with New Hartford School District confirmed they were investigating the matter and were determined to find out how the offensive poster made its way into the district-wide art exhibit. Now, this was done by a child. It was done by a child. They never mentioned the age. They just said they can't reveal the name of the child because he's considered a minor. But I'm not, well, I am. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm upset with the child. But I'm more upset with the parents and the teachers of the school. Because I'm trying to figure out how, first of all, a child could get to the point of making this. Because this is nothing short of, it's some work. Somebody had to help them make the box. Somebody had to help them find them pictures of the monkeys and all that kind of stuff, right? But who were the teachers that felt it was okay to hang this in the school gymnasium during the annual New Hartford Festival of the Arts? Who? Somebody help me. Who was okay with this? Knowing the history, knowing the plight of African Americans in this country, who in the school system was okay with this? And this is not the first time we've seen something like this. We've seen other incidents like this. And probably will continue to see incidents like this. But I'm going to say again, who are the parents and who are the administrators who allow this? Because first thing that comes to my mind is if you have educators, paid educators to educate children, the future, as they say, and they're allowing this to be posted, how much are they pouring into your children that look like you, that look like LeBron James on this box? What type of teachers are they? What are they doing for those students that look like LeBron James if they're okay with them putting a poster up like this? I ask that question because there's a lot of times we as parents, we get complicit in the education of our children. We all know through history that when we send a child to school, we expect that they're being taught the way they're supposed to be being taught. And a lot of times, and I'm not trying to hold nobody accountable, there's nothing like that. I'm not saying you're not doing it, but there's a lot of parents out here who don't get involved. But if my child is in a school that's allowing this, I got to pull my child. And I say all this and I bring this up and it's been eating at me because it's something that we need to be talking about. We need to be identifying is that if they're allowing these type things in our school, in our schools where our children are being taught, what else are they doing? What type of education are our kids getting in a school district that allows this? And a lot of people say, well, this is a one-off. Is it? Because somebody in there allowed this. And if they leave that school, they'll allow it somewhere else. And they'll allow it somewhere else. And then not just the person that allowed it, but what about all the other people who seen it before it got put up or when it got put up before they even took it down? Russell Jenkins, Trump supporters. You know what? I don't know. I won't even say Trump supporters because here's what we got to remember. Racism has been around longer than Donald Trump. Racism has been around longer than Donald Trump. Donald Trump has just fanned the flames of racism. And the only time he's not racist is when he needs people that look like us in his corner. The Tim Scotts, the Byron Donalds, and all those people, the blacks for Trump. But racism has been around a long time. So I'm not just going to put all this on him. Now, he encourages it. Let's just be real. But my biggest question is, what are we doing? And y'all heard me say this many times, and I'll ask again. For the people that don't look like us, are you an ally or are you a lie? Are you an ally or are you a lie? And when I say that, I mean, are you an ally to what the fight is for DEI in order to have some type of equality, diversity, equity, and inclusion? Are you for that? Or are you only for it when you're around me and then you're a lie when you're away from me? Ally or a lie? You make that decision. I don't. But I can call a spade when I see one. But in this instance here, really makes you wonder. Really makes you wonder. It's not only in our schools. It's in the conversations. It's on social media. It's on podcasts like mine. It's on news. The little subtle ways and hints that they want to throw out that I'm racist, but I don't want to just say I'm racist. I have racist thoughts, but I can't say it that way, so I'll say it this way. All those things come into play. I don't have school-age children. But for those of you that do, or grandchildren, talk to your kids. Talk to your kids and see and listen and try to get an understanding of what's going on in their everyday at school with things like this. You might hear something you really need to hear. No harm, no foul. You never know till you decide to have a conversation, which is something we need to do more often. Have the damn conversation. Y'all know I've been holding some stuff in for a while because I haven't been on. But this one, oh, it eats at me, man. This just eats at me. Y'all have heard me say many times, why can't we agree to disagree? Why can't we have differences of opinions? Why is it that it has to be this or that? It can't be two things true at the same time. Agree to disagree. And recently we seen the Kendrick Lamar and Drake supposed rap beef. People picking sides. Yeah, Shaq against Shannon Sharp. Shannon said that Shaq seemed jealous of Jokic after they made Jokic the MVP, and then Shaq was on TNT, the NBA on TNT, and he told Joker that, congratulations, but I don't agree because I felt Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had a better season than you and all this kind of stuff. And Shannon came out and said that he felt that Shaq was being jealous of Jokic and all that kind of stuff. Then you have Stephen Jackson and Matt Barnes were going against Stephen A. Smith because supposedly Stephen A. Smith called the NBA officers questioning why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended because of something that happened in a game and so on and so forth. Then you had Austin Rivers, who's a former basketball player, Doc Rivers' son, And you had a guy named James Jones, who's a football player, who, they were going back and forth about what NBA players can play in the NFL and vice versa, who can play, what NBA players can play in the NFL, what NFL players can play in the NBA and other. Stop. I know it makes for good TV. I know it makes for a good back and forth or whatever. But you know what? It gets to a point, and the biggest one is that GOAT debate. Let the GOAT debate go. What I love basketball. I've played basketball to the best of my ability. I watch a lot of basketball. I watch women's basketball. I watch college basketball. I watch basketball. And a lot of people have asked me, and I think y'all have heard me say this before, but do you have a team? No, I've never had a team. I've never had any sports team that I specifically root for. But there are certain players that I like, that I will follow, that I watch their game, and I like their game. But to get into this GOAT debate about whether LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Bill Russell, all these different conversations they want to have about the GOAT, greatest of all time. I don't like those conversations. I don't like those debates. I don't like them because there's too many caveats that get left out of those conversations. If you bring up this, then someone counters with that. If you bring that up, then somebody counters with this, and so on and so on. So you're going down a rabbit hole that continues to get deeper and deeper the more you go into the conversation. I want to know why we can't just appreciate each and every athlete, each and every actor, each and every comedian, each and every person in this world for what they bring to this world. I just don't understand why it has to be who's better than the other. Everything in life is not a competition. Sports is about competition. I understand that. But when we get into who was better and who was this and who was that, it's all subjective. It all depends on how you look at it, how you feel about a person, and if you played the game or if you haven't. There's this big debate going on now about Caitlin Clark and being in the WNBA. And there's this big thing, people going out here and they're defending Caitlin Clark, talking about all these veterans are going after her. They're going after her neck each and every game. Isn't that what they're supposed to do in a sport? Aren't they supposed to challenge you to get the best out of you? What are they supposed to do? Stand back and let her shoot threes all day? Are they not supposed to play defense on her? Are they? And then they come back with this, well, she's the one that's picking up the WNBA. That makes it seem like anybody before Caitlin Clark wasn't shit. I said it. It makes it seem like the Tina Thompsons, the Cheryl Swoops, and all those people, the Lisa Leslies, and I can go down the list. All those WNBA players before Caitlin Clark came into the league this year didn't do shit for the WNBA. When you get into these, because here's the thing, what I've recognized and what I've realized by going out, I go look at the comments and I go read the comments of people on these little blogs and all this kind of stuff. And what I'm realizing is most of the people who have that thought that the WNBA, that she came in, now that she's the number one draft pick and she coming to the NBA, that she has saved the WNBA, are people who never watched the WNBA. They never turned the game on. The only reason they're watching it now is because they're tuning in from when she was in college. And what they're seeing now while she's in the WNBA is the players that have made comments about this ain't college no more. You playing against grown women. You playing against people who got to feed families. This is about my career. This is a career. College is college. This is a career. And those that don't agree with those WNBA players who are already there saying that have an axe to grind with them because they're speaking the truth. It's like they're supposed to open up part the Red Sea for Caitlin Clark to be great in the WNBA just because she's Caitlin Clark. That's not how it goes. Come on, people. It's competition. She's gonna have to take her bumps and bruises just like anybody else that comes into those leagues. They're gonna take their bumps and bruises. But get off this high horse, because my biggest thing, and I'm gonna say this, Caitlin Clark at this time is the great white hope. That's what it comes down to. Can she play? Yes. But her game has to transition and be able to play at the WNBA level compared to when she was in college. In college, she was the star of the team. In the WNBA, there's other stars on that team. They may not have the accolades, they may not have the records that she has or the scoring records, but they were college athletes who were great for their team. And now you're transitioning over, so you need to find out how to blend in with them. But it seems like everybody thinks that they need to blend in with her. If I'm on the Indiana Fever and I've been there for 5 years and you come in and I'm a starter and I've been averaging 18 points a game, I shouldn't, my average shouldn't drop down to 10 just because you showed up. And then they got the coach on the hot seat because they're losing. Well, if you watch, I don't want, let me read this quote because I can go. Shel Summerall, good morning. I'm so sick of the Caitlin controversy. There are so many goats at that game. She has to take the same bumps and bruises they took. She has to earn it. And truly, she wasn't even the best college player. But they're going off numbers. They're going off the system that she was in. And you know, and I get it. What they're trying to do is get more viewership. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But every time something happens on the court, don't make it seem like that shouldn't have happened. She almost got in a fight the other day with somebody from, I can't remember who they were playing, and tried to buck up. Okay, do what you do. But if your ass gets knocked out, I don't want to hear nobody say, oh, because she bucked at her. Caitlin Clark bucked at her. She didn't buck at Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark bucked at her. So that's that frustration coming out. But I don't want to harp on this too much. My biggest thing is, what I'm saying is, let the differences of opinions, let us agree to disagree, and stop thinking that you have to be right in every conversation you join into. It doesn't have to be one. Each of us were created for greatness. Know what your greatness is and live with it. That's it. That's it. But these people that are tuning in now who have never watched a WNBA game or whatever, watch the games and keep the comments to yourself. Some of y'all ain't watched basketball probably since you was 2 years old. MJ got numbers, but he wasn't the best player. Y'all might kick me offline for this one. No, I ain't saying nothing. Like I said, I like Jordan's game. I like LeBron's game. Wasn't a real Kobe fan. At me if you want. Wasn't a real Kobe fan because I didn't feel he made his other players great around him. However, as time went on, after he retired and I started looking at different tape yes, he's one of the greats. But I can't put all these people in this GOAT conversation. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, the numbers, the accolades, all that. I mean, they come into play, but come on now. We got to get out of this mindset. And here's my thing. We're the only community that does this. Why can't it be a multitude of us that are accomplishing great things without us feeling like we only have to pick one? We don't have to just pick one. I don't get that. You can have more than one. At the end of the year, there's one champion. That's fine. At the end of the year, there's one MVP. At the end of the years, there's one they're voted on. They're voted on. I don't know. Maybe we'll get better. Who knows? Mind, body, and soul, year 2024. We're using the common denominator as health. Oh, I can't remember all of them. Y'all know what they are. I didn't even put them down today. Mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, relationship. Common denominator is health. All those and what is healthy about it. Sharice Joseph, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. So here we go. Mind, body, and soul. Mindset is everything. Your mindset is everything. I bring this up this morning because I know some people that are struggling right now. And they're going through some things. And, I put myself in that equation when I was going through my hip replacement surgery and the healing and everything. But your mindset is everything. As much as we don't think it is, it is. If you have a mindset that woe is me, or why do these things happen to me, or I'll never get better, or, God is not blessing me like he's blessing somebody else, and all the different things you can think about with you when your mind starts to race. Stop. Your mindset needs to stay in the positive more than the negative. Your mindset has to stay in the fact of whatever you think you can do, you can do. But the opposite of that is whatever you think you can't do, you won't do. If you're struggling with something or you're going through something, pause. Pause. Clear your mind. Get back into the positive mindset that anything you put your mind to is possible. We have too many people out here, and we got them in our families that are going through some things, maybe health problems or financial problems or relationship, whatever you can think about. Somebody is going through something. But we have to change our mindset to think that this too shall pass if I put the work in to help it go past. Sometimes we get so stuck in the negative that we don't see the positive of it. We always heard that, what was that? Whatever don't kill you can make you stronger. Well, hopefully, you ain't trying to kill yourself and ain't nobody dying out here. But, that's one of those old cliches that people used to say. But the biggest part is our mindset. You have to be willing to put your mind in the right positive mindset in order to be able to get to where you want to get to. This is with job. This is with life. This is with your health. This is in your relationship. This is in anything you do. If your mindset is not right in the positive, none of those things are going to work out for you. The mental drive, pushing yourself, getting yourself in and let me stop for a minute and say this. Stop dealing with negative people, because negative people can cause your mindset to change from who you are to who they are. There's certain things that we do in life when we accomplish things, and you'll talk to somebody and they'll minimize your accomplishment to make them feel better. But what they did by minimizing your accomplishments will make you feel bad about the accomplishment that you felt so good about. Eliminate those people from your life. Stop dealing with those people and stop telling people everything about you. Everybody's not for you. Everybody's not for you. But you have to have the mindset that whatever I want to do, I can do. And don't let people infiltrate into your mind to cause that negativity to creep in. Sometimes we think that everybody has our best interest at hand. They don't. They can be your friend and still have negative thoughts about how they feel about you, even though they call themselves a friend. Some people will sabotage your good standing with other folks and then come right back and act like they're your friend. Your mindset has to stay in the positive. Mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. But you can't keep dealing with people who tear you down. You can't keep dealing with people who don't have your best interests at hand. And you can't keep dealing with people who you know could care less about whether you're accomplishing things or will sabotage when you're trying to accomplish things. Cut them loose. Cut them loose. We're almost 6 months in. We're going to start the 6th month. Today is the first day of the 6th month of this year. It's time to start cutting people loose who have done you wrong within these first 5 months. And watch your mindset clear up. Your mindset will change. You'll start looking at things differently. Stop going around negative. And you ain't got to cut them off. Just stop going around them. Speak. Keep it pushing. If they say, oh man, you don't come around no more, you didn't change. Yeah, I've changed my mindset. It is what it is. But it starts with you. You can't keep going around these people and getting all this negativity and then go home and be sitting there questioning yourself. You were fine before you went over there. So stop going over there. Stop dealing with them. If you're allowing people to put a negative mindset in your mind that has always been positive, check yourself. Mindset is everything. Get up off that couch. Go buy that fruit and them vegetables that doctor told you need to eat to get that cholesterol low. Change your mindset. You want to be here for a while. Stop saying I can't. Start saying I will. Stop talking about a bucket list. Start talking about a to-do list. A to-do list, not a bucket list, a to-do list. A bucket list says, I'm going to do all these things before I kick the bucket. If a lot of people didn't know what a bucket list was. Call it a to-do list. Start writing those things out that you want to accomplish. Start jotting them down. Do a vision board. Stop allowing other folks to minimize what your greatness is. Your mindset is everything. Change it. Get back on the positive side and do what you're supposed to do. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank y'all for hanging with me. I know it's been a minute since I've been on with these technical difficulties and everything. Hopefully everything came through good today. We'll be back again next week. I appreciate y'all. And I got some big things I'm working on, so I'll let y'all know in the near future. I don't like to put things out there before I get there, but I've been working on some things behind the scenes. So make sure you tune in. Big changes coming to the show. Big changes coming in my life. Big changes coming to some certain things that I'm going to be doing and branching out. So hang in there. Stick with me. Continue to support me, and I'm going to keep on supporting you. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up, and most definitely, keep your faith in God. I'll see y'all again next week, and I'll holler, and I'm out. Peace.